Hi, this is Yvette from Loving My Angels, My World of Metaphysics. Today I want to talk to you. We're going to continue talking about manifesting your dreams for 2018 so that we can all get to where we want to go. A lot of people like to hear, my stories about the things that I accomplished in my life. So I wanted to go back in time a little bit, maybe 4 years, almost 5 years ago, to a story about me. I'm a nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner, and I've been an RN for like 23 years. So I got my nurse practitioner license in 2008, and I continued working as an RN because the money was right, and I was holding on to what I already had because it was working for me. I mean, my full-time job was allowing me to come in late. I was able to do my part-time job in the morning before I went to my full-time job, and everything just worked good for me at that point. Deep down, I knew it was time for me to move on. It was time for me to start working as a nurse practitioner because I went to school for it for many years. So I then left my part-time job as a nurse, and I started a part-time job as a nurse practitioner. I did that for about a year and a half. And then I knew, this was 2012, then I knew I needed to really work at a higher level at my full-time job because I'm one that's always willing to move up. Again, but I was holding on to what I had, Until one day I said, okay, God, I'm ready to release this. I'm ready to have faith in you that you will bring me the right job. Now, I'm very much into God, infinite intelligence, divine being, angels, archangels, and spiritual guides. So I talk to them every day. Even today, I talk to God and my angels every day. God is inside of me. So it's like I'm talking to myself, but I always talk to my angels also. So I said I was ready to move on. It was time for me to move on. I was ready. I needed to have a nurse practitioner job, but there was only 3 out of all the facilities. There was only 3, and they were all occupied. And those positions, people just don't leave. They hold on to them. So what happened was one agency was closing down, and that left only 2 nursing positions available. And I was like, these people aren't going to leave. So then all of a sudden a nursing director position became available. And I said, those type of positions aren't really me. I'm more of the fun type, like to have fun, like to laugh. And that's a more serious job. All of them are, that you got to sit there with a firm face. And I said, I don't know if this is for me. But I said, you know what, God is the next step. So let me do what I got to do. So I called one of my coworkers that was already a nursing director on Long Island, and I mentioned the position, and she said, yeah, that's out here with me. They're making 2 positions now. And she said, yeah, go for it. And I said, well, I'm really looking for a nurse practitioner job. I've been, praying on it. She said, Yvette, one of the nurses that have the nurse practitioner job is retiring. She's leaving. In fact, she's gone. She left the other day. She retired. My heart started jumping because I couldn't believe I just asked God for this position. I just was willing to release all that I no longer thought was part of my path, and told God that I'm willing to move on. And really fast, a position came available for the nurse practitioner. Now, remind you, I put in for the nursing director position. I already did it at that time when I was speaking to her. And I was down to go for the interview. And I think that's why I was calling her, because she was already in a position. And I said, well, let me call her and see what's going to happen and go down there for this position. So she told me. I filled out the application, like, immediately. Before I even got a chance to go for the interview for the nursing director position, my application was already in for the nurse practitioner position. I went to the interview. They already knew me from me being around for 30 years. They knew me. And they said, Eyvette, you're a nurse practitioner, right? And I said, yes. They said, well, you know that position came available? And I said, yes, I know. I just found out the other day. And I put in an application. And so they were like, okay. So I interviewed for the nursing director position. It was the nursing director position over all the nursing. And they told me, they said, we know you're really, you auditioned for, I mean, you went for the interview for this one, but we know the other one is more up your alley, okay? So we're going to take this one, and we're going to have you come back next week for the next one. I went back for the interview for the nurse practitioner position, and they told me that I had it, that they were giving it to me. I just thought to myself, like, wow, I've been holding on to my RN jobs in fear of losing what I have and fear of change. As soon as I released it and said, and took action, it just fell right into place. Voila, you know, obstacles, here it goes. There was a little problem with my paperwork because it was a nurse practitioner position and I'm a family nurse practitioner. So it needed to state exactly what I was, because there's adult nurse practitioners that can only see adults, and then there's family nurse practitioners that can see people from the whole span of the lifetime, and that's what I was. I didn't know what the difficulty was. I was able to see more than what they were hiring me for, but legally they had to do it the right way. In that time, they moved my nurse practitioner position all the way out east. When I say it would have been about a 50-hour drive to get to this job, I said, oh my God. I heard about it, I prayed on it, and I said, God, I don't want to drive out east. I don't want to go. I said, I'm waiting for this job. I don't know what's going on. And I said, I don't want to drive out east. I said, God, I asked you for a nurse practitioner job, and you gave it to me. I said, but I know you're going to work something out for me. I said, I'm going to leave it in your hands. I'm going to release it. And I know you're going to work something out for me, because I don't want to go out there. If that's the case, I might even want to stay where I'm at. This went on for 2 months that they had to straighten this thing out for me. Finally, everything went through. I get a phone call. Miss Risher, the other nurse practitioner wants to take that position out east because it's near her home. We're going to put you in her position, which was only 20 minutes from my home. I got up. I went outside with my coworker because she knew I was just praying to God and praying to God and stating to her that I'm going to get a position. It's going to be closer to home. She already knew because I spoke to her about it. I caught her outside in the parking lot, and we jumped up, and I just jogged a little bit, doing my hooting and hollering. And she said, Eyvette, how in the world did you pull that off? I said, I didn't. God made a way that I was placed right near my home. What I'm telling people is, be patient. I was impatient waiting 2 months for this position because of paperwork, when actually God was holding things back to allow things to fall into place. If I would have took that position right away and there was no delay, I probably would have been 50 to an hour away from home, driving every day, each way. And that other nurse practitioner probably would have still been in her location. So I would have been going towards her house, and she would have been near my house. It just ended up that while I was waiting for the position, she must have heard about it, found out that they was putting a nurse practitioner out there in that area, because remind you, there wasn't a nurse practitioner out there in that area. I was supposed to be maybe 30 minutes from home, but not an hour, 50 minutes to an hour. So when she heard about it, she asked for it. So God made time. The delay stopped me from going out east, and all the puzzle pieces went into place. And I couldn't believe it. It was almost like I asked God for the nurse practitioner job, and all of a sudden the lady retired. I, no, before that, I wanted the nurse practitioner job, but there wasn't one. So I was willing to take a nursing director job until another position came available, which I had no idea because people just don't leave those jobs. Before I went for the interview, talking to someone, I find out that the position just became available within a few days before that. I then go for the interview. They already know I'm going for the interview. I get the job, and then they move the job from where it's supposed to be all the way out east. I then prayed on it, talked to God like, God, you wouldn't take me and put me in a place that I don't want to be. I asked you for the job. And here it is, you're putting me an hour away from home. And then all of a sudden, it's a long delay, 2 months. A 2-month delay. You're talking about me. I was on the phone calling them saying, hey, what happened to my position? What's going on? This. There's so much, Miss Richard, be calm. I actually had to take over and actually call Albany myself and handle everything. Or I would have been waiting 3 months. I had to actually take over. And like I said, take action. If there's something that you want, take action. Don't sit there and twiddle your fingers or whatever. Take action. By the time everything worked out, they put me closer to my home. What I'm telling you is whatever it is you want, declare it. Take action. And maybe it's not exactly where you want to be at that time, or you might just run into someone to give you that information like I did. It was like God put everything right in place for me. And the same thing can happen to you. Main thing is fear is the biggest culprit of you not getting what you want. I held on to a nursing job for years after I was a nurse practitioner. It was 4 years later before I started working as a nurse practitioner. So what I'm telling you is whatever works for your life works for your life. But what I'm telling you is go after what you want. Go after it and have faith that God will put the pieces together. It may not be now. It may be later. It may be that position you're going for, and then all of a sudden, that position leads you to a position that's higher than any position you could have even have thought of. So what I'm telling people is know what you want, ask God for it, have faith that God is working it out for you, and take action. So again, this is Yvette from My World of Metaphysics and Loving My Angels, sending you out some positive, motivational stories so that you too can make your stories come alive and be happy at it, be happy with your life and everything. I'm very happy to tell my stories. Not that I'm bragging or anything, but to let someone else know that these things do happen. We read them in books. You question, I wonder, is that true? You know, because I've been there too. I read all these books and they got all these different stories and you're like, I wonder, is that true? You know, but here I am. I'm here to tell you it happened with me. And I've been telling you guys stories that's been going on in my life, hoping that you guys realize that your dreams can come true. So again, this is Yvette from My World of Metaphysics and Loving My Angels. The last word I would like to say is 2 words: take action.